Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So this might be a slightly long review because there's quite a lot of things to go over. Today I wanted to review the Varavon 815FH fluid head, and this is something that I really like. This is a rebranding of something that I've liked from the beginning around 2 years ago, the fancy FC02H head that came with the 270A tripod system. Very high quality head, but you would have seen in my videos over the past, I think 2 years or so, where I constantly say, okay, well, I've been using this adapter, I've done this and whatever, sort of various ways to try and properly, easily connect that head to what I need, you know, slider or whatever. And so I always say that is my head of choice. And for me, whenever I tried something else, I was never really fully happy with the other things I'd tried and bought. So for me, that was still the head of choice. And that's why I've been, you know, going through all this trouble of adapting it to be able to use it on everything I need. So when Varavon came out with this head, I was super happy that I got two of them. I was super happy that I could actually use this easily on a slider and whatever. So I was really glad. And then when I got it, I was like, hey, what's going on? It's not as good. And so the reason is because Fancier, a while ago, a short while after I reviewed mine, they decided to change the oil, which means that any Fancier, as far as I know, that you'd buy at the moment, and any Varavon that you'd buy at the moment, the oil just isn't as good as when it was originally, the way I originally bought it. Which is why you'll see a lot of reviews online that go, you know, I don't know, it's okay. And then some reviews will say, well, I don't particularly, you know, the smoothness is a bit weird. They'll say, you know, it's a bit loose here, and then it's too stiff on the pan. And that's true. You know, it's just not an idea. I don't know what kind of oil it is or whatever. I don't know what the reason is for changing it. I emailed Fancier and they said they wouldn't change it back. So basically, what they would do is they would change the oil for me at no cost, which I was happy with. So I sent them my two fluid heads, my two Varavons, and they changed the oil for me, and it just cost me waiting time and delivery costs. So it was around, for the two heads, not including the plate and the thing, which I didn't send, the pan arm, then it was around £30 each way to send. And took around 3 months or so. I don't know if that's the usual time that it would take to send it there, but you know, it wasn't that quick. You know, I suppose it could have just been that it got stuck or something for a while. And so once Fancier got it, they did it pretty quick and they sent it back to me. So I have tried a lot of fluid heads since I tried that Fancier, and from the beginning I was happy with it, and I think maybe like a year later I posted a video and I said, you know, I'm still very happy with it, still haven't found anything better. And since then I have been going out, I've been going to shops, I've been buying, borrowing and whatever. I've been testing as many fluid heads as possible because for me it's a really important thing, because one of the main things that I do is I work a lot with a slider, and for me it's important to have a really good fluid head on a slider. So the ones I've been testing are the ones that are under around $1,500, so under £1,000-ish, and only ones that are, you know, compatible with DSLRs. And by compatible, I mean that have a counterbalance spring that is suitable for a DSLR. So this, I mean, after having tried all those fluid heads, for example, there's my Sackler FSB4, which is on paper one of the best fluid heads that you can get. And, you know, I'll have a separate review about that. There's something that I don't particularly like about it. But basically, I have tried tons and tons of fluid heads, and nothing has ever been quite as good as this. And so this is a pretty basic build, and not everything's perfect here, but for the most important thing for me, for smoothness and stability, this is great. Now, let me go over the features pretty quick. We've got a flat base on here, which is really important. We've got a leveling, a bubble level there, which is obviously at this price range, I wouldn't expect that to light up, but you know, it's fairly easy to see. And then the locks are, you know, they're just sufficient. They're not super strong. They're just about good enough. And there's no variation of the fluidity. So it's just one level of fluid no adjustments whatsoever. You can't use these to adjust the friction. I mean, you could, but then you wouldn't get any good performance out of this. So you don't have any sort of adjustment for that, and that may be the reason why the performance here is so damn good. And then what you do have on the other side is you have the ability to release the counterbalance mechanism, which by the way is 1.5 kilograms, intended for around 1.5 kilogram camera, which means that this works really, really well with pretty much any DSLR. It does a fantastic job. And unfortunately, it's not, obviously when you pay for something like that, you get a variable amount of, well, with a lot of fluid heads, you'll get a variable amount of spring counterbalance. But here, again, it's just a set spring. But one thing that's extremely important is that you can turn that spring off. You can completely release it using this latch, which allows you to easily unscrew the head from something. You just lift that up, and then you don't have the spring, you don't have to fight the spring just to, unscrew it from your slider or whatever. And it allows you to use very, very, very small cameras like an NEX system or something like that, where you don't really need, any counterbalance. Or if you want to do a really weird shot, in a really weird angle, you can bring it to whatever position you want and then lock it, and then you've got that spring set to that position, and it'll want to come back to that position. So for me, that's really, really important. Unfortunately, you don't have the ability to release the drag at all. There's no adjustment of the drag, but again, I believe that's one of the reasons why this is so damn smooth. So apart from that, the plate, I don't think they're very easy to get hold of. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know exactly where to get them. Maybe Varavon sell them or something. I'm not really sure. One thing that's annoying is that they only come out one way. They won't come out to the front, which is sometimes annoying. I mean, they will move quite far at the front, but they won't release to the front. What I found is that sometimes I have to move this a little bit in order to be able to slide it in, like something's in the way or whatever. Again, not really a huge issue. So what I personally do is I always have another system on top of this. This isn't compatible with anything I know of, so it's not a Manfrotto size or anything like that. And so what I would do is I would have my own system on top, meaning like, a Giotto's system or whatever. For me, it's Giotto's, and that just means that everything I own just has Giotto's attached to it permanently. When I'm using it the entire day, the Giotto's is attached to it, and that means that I never lose plates like this. Like I said, they're not easy to get hold of, which means I'll never lose plates like this, and all I have to do is just have, Giotto's plates on whatever I want to put on top, and the base, Giotto's base system on the fluid head, on the slider, etc. So generally that would be my recommendation, but if you're not prone to losing this, and if you really only just want to use it on the fluid head, there's no reason to, you could just use this one. But again, just be careful not to lose it. Then apart from that, you've got a pretty basic panhandle, but very solid, no issues with it. It doesn't extend, unfortunately, but it's not an issue. If you want to buy an extendable one, I think they're around £17 from the same factory that makes this. I think they're under a different name. I think they sell under Fancy or Yfeng or something, but you can get extending handles that will fit on here. And okay, so another thing to mention is that I have tested the smoothness of this. When I test the smoothness of it, I don't just do this. And I don't just go, I think it's smooth. I shoot with it, I put it on a slider to see exactly how it moves while in motion, and I test it, well, when possible I would put it on a slider, and I test it with a telephoto lens, and I see just how accurate I can get my shot. And specifically with regards to how smoothly can I start and stop, and get to a certain point, and then go back. And will that entire thing be usable in, let's say, a live show, or if I'm shooting a scene with an actor, I need to follow them around? Is that going to be, can I use the entire thing? If I can't use the entire thing, it's a no-go. So that's the main way that I test this, is with a telephoto lens, which means that any small issue I'll be able to tell on screen. And then the second way that I test is that when possible, I'm not able to do this with every fluid head, but this is a sort of secondary test that I would use I just sort of wanted to confirm what I felt and what I saw on screen. And so what I did was, with as many fluid heads as I could, as I actually had available, I took this, I took a clamp that went from here and brought it with an arm to exactly 10 centimeters away from the center of the fluid head. So it would have been around there or so. And then from that exact point, using force that's going in that direction, as close as I can to being in a perfect circular direction around it, I would use a very accurate digital scale to measure the amount of force that it takes to move this while it's moving, meaning the kinetic friction, which is the amount of force that it takes to move something while it's in motion, and the static friction, which is the amount of force required to make something start moving. So, with that in mind, that has confirmed my findings for this, even comparing it to much more expensive fluid heads. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the king of fluid heads. In my opinion, this is the best fluid head in the world. Yes, it doesn't have many features, but god damn, it's so damn smooth. Unfortunately, you have to send it in for an oil change. Not much I can do about that, but for me, it's not even an issue. It costs a bit of money, whatever. This head is worth 10 times its price, in my opinion. Nothing that I have ever tried has reached this level of quality, as well as having something which is really, really great for DSLRs with regards to counterbalance and the ability to disengage the counterbalance. Basically, what I would like to see improved in this in future versions, which I'm not waiting for anytime in the future. I don't think Fancier really listen very well to comments, because I did try and tell them, hey guys, what have you done to the oil, and they didn't want to hear it. Luckily, they like I said, they agreed to change the oil for me at no cost. So. What I would like to see in the future here, obviously, is I would love to see some variability of the drag, but I would imagine that if they did try and do that, potentially they might ruin it. So maybe that, and then maybe a variable amount of counterbalance would be nice, but really for DSLRs you don't need it. So if you're using up to like a 5D Mark III with a big lens, no problem whatsoever. If you're using a big rig, then it's not really ideal. It's the counterbalance isn't really that strong. It's intended for a 1.5 kilogram camera or system. So I hope that I've gone over everything here, and I hope that you don't think that I think I know everything, because I don't. What I found is that I really, really love this head, and I've never found one that I can recommend more. This is a fantastic time to tell you that I have no connection whatsoever to Varavon or Fancier, and I don't get paid for reviews or anything like that. This is, these are just my findings. Alright guys, hope you found this helpful. I hope you don't think I'm an idiot, or, that I think highly of myself. I think you know what I mean. Like, I don't want people to think that like I'm up myself, if that makes sense, and that I think I know everything. But I just think that I've tried enough fluid heads that I can safely say that I like this the most. And I will continue to try fluid heads. There's a few brands that I'm still trying to have the opportunity to use. So a few specific units that I would still like to use. Again, hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other videos, and I'll see you soon. Bye.